I'm Melissa.
And I'm Mike.
Welcome back to True Crime Thursdays.
A brand new episode.
Let me get my research up. So, today we are doing a case. Oh, wow. So, today we're
What
doing.
happened?
No, nothing. It's okay. It's okay. It's fine. So, today
Okay.
we're doing.
An unrelated issue?
Yeah, it's fine. My research just disappeared for a second, but that's okay. I can
Oh,
get it back.
okay. Okay. That's good.
So, yeah, today we're doing an episode on Chris Watts, which is a older case, semi-older case. I always was
Yeah.
back when it was
Just
always
continue.
interrupted, always
We're
interrupted.
gonna ignore him. Yep. We're gonna ignore him. He really is stupid because I don't know what it is with dogs and seeing reflections in the door at night that it freaks them out. But go ahead,
Oh, is that what
continue.
it always is?
Yes.
See, that's why I just have cats because,
Yeah.
they're trying to square up, if anything, with the silently. Like
Yeah,
dogs,
right.
I think that's where cats are way more stealth than dogs because dogs just
Yeah.
tell on themselves every single time.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, back when this case was actually going on, I remember like following this one podcast about it because she would do updates on it all the time because this was back when like the actual what's it called? Like the court
The
hearings and
trial, court
the
hearings, yeah.
trial was going on and um the mistress was
Right.
uh
I think you're getting into the story before you're into the story though.
true, true, true.
Let's
True, true,
cover
true. Yeah,
the
okay.
case first.
Um okay, hold on. I lost my research, so I just gotta scroll
Oh,
back
okay.
up.
I'll start. So basically the story is Chris Watts seemed like a really normal guy. You know, he was the type of guy that, like, you know, if he was your neighbor, you'd think he was, you know, just a normal guy. He had a wife. Is it Shannon or is it Shanann? You were pronouncing it
Shanann,
Shanann.
it's
Shanann.
Shanann.
Okay.
Mhm.
And then he had two daughters. He had a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old, Bella and Celeste,
Mhm.
and actually an unborn son, Nico, too.
Yeah, she
And
was about 15 weeks pregnant.
yeah, and they were from Colorado, Frederick, Colorado. And he basically murdered his wife and the two daughters, and kind of gruesome what he did with the bodies, but we can get into that
Yeah.
a little bit further down in the discussion.
Mhm. Yeah, no, super crazy. And Shanann, so she did an MLM. I think it was called Thrive. It was basically a wellness MLM where they
Okay,
sold weight loss patches and shakes and all that stuff. And she was super just all she was just one of those people that was always on Facebook, posting
right.
constantly on Facebook. She would post like this. It wasn't really the era before vlogging because I guess vlogging was a thing back then, but
Sure.
she was just
Yeah.
very big on going live on Facebook and being a part of different groups and posting videos and family stuff. And if you just went by her Facebook alone, you would think that she, yeah, just had this perfect family, this perfect
Right.
relationship. Um, and I think we all can agree that a lot of what you see on social media is all cameras and smoke or smoke and mirrors, whatever they say.
Yeah.
Um, because that obviously wasn't what it was. They had a lot of relationship troubles. There were a lot of text messages that came out kind of just after the case and everything or during the trial of things that she was saying to her friends about her and Chris starting to be distant and things just being very weird. So she also traveled for her job. Kind of like remember when y'all did that? What was it called?
It
They would
works.
and they had like different conferences and stuff.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I believe she went on something like that. It was basically a business trip
Hmm.
that she went on. And so this was in August, the 12th and 13th of August in 2018. And on the 12th, she returned home from a business trip around 1:48 a.m. They ended up getting her arrival time based on, it says, another neighbor's security camera, which I think was the neighbor next to them from the videos that I remember seeing. Um, but they also had like a Ring doorbell that caught her like walking inside as well.
Hmm.
Um, so that was the last time that Shanann was seen alive. In the early hours of August 13th, that is when they say that he ended up killing her. He later claimed that which is crazy, he later claimed that he strangled Shanann during an argument about separation. Medical evidence showed Shanann died from manual strangulation and she did not fight back, which is
Oh
so
wow.
sad.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I
it
also I
suggested
also
she,
had read that his initial story was that she killed the kids and he killed her in
yeah,
anger. So he was
yeah,
trying to, which that's when I read that, that's why I was like, I remember this story. I remember this one because of
yeah.
that aspect alone.
Yeah, and his was one of them too that back when this was all going on, his was one of them that once they showed up to his house that every time anytime stuff like this happens and it involves like a husband and his wife or whatever, um like boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, whatever. uh, I think people always overanalyze just the reactions of the other people. And this
Right.
was, I remember, one of those cases where people overanalyzed how he was acting about everything and how he was talking to reporters and how he came off. And not like you want to judge how somebody is handling things, because I definitely know that in certain circumstances it might just not have hit someone yet or whatever. But
Hmm.
I remember this being one that people definitely were like, he's not acting as upset as he should be about
Right.
his kids missing, his wife, like, because back then they didn't know that if she was dead or not. They didn't know any of
Right.
that.
Right.
And they sure didn't know anything about his kids. So back then it was more like your two daughters are miss and your wife are missing.
Yeah, you should be freaking out right now
You should
and
be
like
freaking out.
trying to do whatever you can to find them.
Um, so yeah, according to his later confession. Oh, they also believe that Shanann either was asleep or he just caught her off guard, and that's why she didn't fight back.
Mm.
He also murdered his daughters. According to his confession, he smothered them one by one. Bella reportedly fought back and asked, "Daddy, are you going to do the same thing to me?"
Oh,
Stop.
wow. Oh my. Well, how do they know that? I mean, I guess there maybe
He
were
confessed
cameras in the
it.
house. Oh my
No,
God.
he confessed it later on. Yeah.
Wow.
That was in a later confession.
Wow. Yeah,
Um,
and the story. I mean, I'll let you go on.
no, no, no. Go ahead.
I was just gonna. I don't want to get ahead of what you're talking about, but the story was that he wanted a fresh start, which
Yeah.
is,
Yeah, no, that's still in the same area. So yeah, he during this whole time, um, so while Shanann was on her business trip, they were also texting,
Mhm.
and she kind of had suspicions that he was having an affair, because I think even that night there was a receipt found of him at a sports bar or something like that, but he had said that he just stayed home.
Mm.
a whole mess. But there was she had thought for a while that he was having an affair, which he was with a coworker, Nicole Kessinger, um, who I guess doesn't even go by that name anymore. She's under some witness, like some protection alias now
Oh
because
wow.
people really hated her that bad, like for
Yeah,
obvious reasons.
for obvious
Um,
reasons, right? Yeah, because
so
some of the stuff that went on with her as part of the process is like very sketchy.
so based on a lot of the stuff that they found out between like messages between him and her and all of that stuff, she knew that he was married. And
Mm.
even when they looked into her, she had definitely been on Shanann's Facebook. She searched her multiple times before she even started hanging out with Chris. After they started hanging out, this girl was looking up like wedding dresses, and she really thought that they were about to be locked in. Like she was very serious about this little thing. Um, and yeah, I guess, instead of just getting a divorce like a normal person would do, he thought annihilating his entire family would just get him in the clear and then he can start fresh. Because this girl also told him that she wanted to have his baby and give him his first boy, and Shanann was
Wow.
pregnant with his first son. Yeah.
Right.
Lot of weird stuff.
Yeah.
Um and I don't know, I guess like this goes back to our stupid criminals uh segment you want to do
They're
where I
they're
say
all
they're
stupid.
all stupid
Yeah.
because I don't know, I guess he thought doing that would just solve all his problems and he would get away with it and just be able to ride off in the sunset with
Right.
her. I'm
Yeah, I mean,
assuming that's just what goes on in their head.
yeah, I feel like all these people, like all these cases, when people do this stuff, they think they're going to get away with it. They think that they're so that they like clearly whatever he did, he had planned out, and
Yeah.
to some extent, anyway. And he thought he had it all figured out. He where he was going to take the bodies to get rid of the bodies so that nobody would find them. Um, and yeah, he thought he was going to get away with it. It's just it's kind of the scary thing about this case, I think, is to everybody that from the outside, he seemed so normal. He did
Yeah.
not seem like the person that would do something like that. Um,
Yeah.
so, and I guess they had been having like like you had talked a little bit about this, but they had been having some financial difficulties, which is
Yeah.
probably part of the reason that there was a little bit of a rift in the marriage and the relationship. And then,
Mhm.
so when there's a rift in the relationship, what happens? Well, then, that other person that you don't have all the reality with, they seem like they're the perfect person, and
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Mhm. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess what's kind of crazy too is they don't, at least from what I saw, they didn't have any history of like domestic abuse or,
Right.
I mean, obviously they argued like a regular couple, but yeah, it's not like they have just this long history of nonsense. Like it
Right.
really was such a recent thing that it's kind of like
Right.
that's where, those shows and the people who research like the mind of a murderer and just what goes on in their head, it's like that guy just, I don't know, it's like he snapped. But for
Right.
somebody to just be able to snap like that and not just do that to his wife who's pregnant with their son, but do it to like the two kids as well. That's just
Yeah.
so crazy.
Yeah, like whatever the relationship issues with the wife are, you can see, I mean you can't see, but it's more understandable that somebody would, maybe get pushed to a point, and not even that's not even what happened here, right? It wasn't like
Yeah.
it wasn't that they got into an argument and it got heated and anything like that. This was literally, he planned this because he wanted a fresh start. And,
Yeah.
even the relationship with the spouse, is different. But to do that to your own kids is just, it's something that probably anybody listening to this hears and goes, I can't, like, you can't even, it does, your brain just can't even, and that's good that
Right.
most of our brains can't process that kind of thought, because
Yeah,
it'd be a scary world if we could.
for sure. Yeah, so after he did all that to his family, before sunrise, he loaded the bodies into his truck. He placed Shanann's on the floor, wrapped in a sheet, and his daughters, they were either still alive or recently deceased, depending on which confession. Um, sat in the back seat. Um, Chris drove nearly an hour because there were a couple different confessions also that he made. So the timeline of the daughters is a little like they don't know if he um, killed them at the house or once they got there
Right.
because there were multiple confessions going on with that. So he drove nearly an hour to a remote oil site that was operated by his employer because he worked on oil sites like that. So
Hmm.
it also wasn't around the time that this was happening, it wasn't abnormal for him to be out there necessarily. Um because he always was working on sites like that, leaving early in the morning. So it wasn't an immediate red flag until it was. I believe they also had Nicole Kessinger's because this is where like the controversy of the case happens. Is
Right.
they don't know if he had help if she was at the house because I remember when they looked
Mm.
into her phone pings, she also was it was pinging near their house around
Oh,
that
wow.
same early morning time. Yeah. She had connections in law enforcement, I believe. I don't know if it was through her dad or someone. So that's also why people think that she just got into some special protection. They could never, since Chris took all the blame of the case, she just
Right.
never got charged with anything.
Wow.
He said
Wow.
he said I
That's
did it. He did it alone. She changed her name, went into hiding and moved on.
yeah. I think that's terrible though. You shouldn't be able to like just walk away from something, because I guess there was some of her internet searches were interesting, because you had mentioned like wedding
Yeah.
gowns or that, but she had also searched like, can the police read your text messages or something like that.
Oh yeah. Mhm. Yeah, so a lot of people definitely think she was involved in some
Yeah.
way, again, just specifically with her phone pings alone, because she didn't live close enough to him that her phone should be pinging at that hour of the morning. They definitely think she was like there. Some people have even speculated, I remember back then, that like she might have been at the house when Shanann got home and then it turned into an argument
Hmm.
that way.
Right.
Um, but
But did the
I
cell
guess we'll
phone
never know.
pings support that, or did they just support that she had been there? Well, I guess it's the same. That's the
I
same
don't
time
remember
frame,
his
isn't
name.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, same time frame. So
Yeah.
yeah, um, we'll never know that. So when he drove nearly an hour to his site, he buried Shanann in a shallow grave, and then Bella and Cece were placed in separate oil tanks through a small hatch opening. He then returned home and went to his normal work site as if nothing had happened,
Wow.
which is also crazy. Like that's where, they talk about the just like psychopaths and
Yeah.
what has to just be chemically just that imbalance in your brain because to be able to do something like that to your family nonetheless and then just like go to work like
Yeah. As
and
if
act
nothing.
normal and
It's a
act
normal
not
day. Yeah.
like you have to have something wrong with you. I
Oh
think
yeah.
even if it was my worst enemy that I did that to, I
Right.
would be you would see it all over my face. So for somebody to
Right.
just like be able to code switch like that is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you think of like people, like let's say law enforcement, who
Yeah.
get into a situation where they have to kill someone, it's they kill someone or they get killed. And,
Mhm.
I've always thought like the psychology of that, of what they must go through, in that scenario, even
Yeah.
though knowing that, it was their life or this other person's life, there's still got to be a lot you deal with, or guys that, even guys that go to war, and come back
Yeah.
and, have to deal with all that. Um, and so you think of somebody like this, and, and these aren't strangers. These aren't people that were, trying to kill you. These are like your children. And yeah,
Yeah.
I can't even fathom how you could do it in the first place, but then just walk around like, you didn't do it, like nothing had happened. It's just, I don't know. If I do something a little
Mhm.
wrong, I walk around the whole day thinking, I'm gonna regret it, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Um yeah, exactly. Um so by mid-morning on August 13th, so later that same day, Shanann's friend Nicole became uh uh, Shanann had a doctor's appointment that morning for her belly and
Okay. For belly. I think you
for her
mean with her
pregnant belly.
obstetrician.
Yeah. I was trying to think of the name of it, so I just said her belly, and we all
Got
know
you.
what I'm talking about
Yeah.
because she was pregnant. She
Yeah.
was with child.
Right.
So she had a doctor appointment that morning, and she also was because she was so big on social media and stuff, like all of us. She was always on her phone, always had her phone, responding to things. Like she was not one of those people like me whose phone is just dead, and I might not or on a counter somewhere, and I just might go a couple hours without responding to you. She was just one of those reliable people that
Mm-hmm.
she was always on her phone. She was answering you. She wasn't, if, you know, she's not answering you, red flag. So once she wasn't answering calls and texts from her friend and didn't show up to her doctor appointment, her friend Nicole went over to their home and immediately called police for a welfare check because obviously her car was there at the house, but she wasn't answering, and her friend couldn't get inside either. I don't
Mm.
believe she could get inside. I think she was like looking through windows and stuff. You know, I think we all know what's normal with
Right.
certain people in our lives and what's not normal. And I think to an extent you can feel when something doesn't feel right. And that's how she was feeling that day. So
And so
once
was
Chris,
this the same day that he had disposed of the
yes,
bodies earlier in the day? Okay.
hmm this was later that day. Yeah, she had a doctor appointment that morning that she didn't show up to, obviously.
Got you.
And
Got you.
yeah, once she wasn't answering, it was like hit in the afternoon. She wasn't answering anyone. She wasn't responding to anyone. She wasn't posting anything. Again, very not like her ever. So Chris was there as well. He seemed nervous but cooperative, and he claimed that Shanann took the girls to a friend's house after an emotional conversation between the both of them. Investigators noticed a few red flags almost immediately. One of them being Shanann's purse, phone, and car were still at the home. The house was unusually quiet and staged, and Chris showed no visible panic or urgency. So, I don't know in your research if you looked at like the body cam footage from that day,
I
but
didn't. I wanted to, but I didn't get a chance to.
once police showed up to the house, obviously they went inside and they took a look around the house. So in Chris's bedroom, her their the on their bed sheets were completely off the bed, so it was just the mattress. I guess he claimed that he was washing them.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, everything else looked like a little too perfect, a little too like he straightened up. A clean house isn't a red flag, but yeah, in this situation,
yeah.
him also saying that he took the girl somewhere or that she took the girl somewhere. Once they saw that her phone was there, once they see that her purse is there, again, red flag. She's not the kind of person that would ever just leave that behind no matter where she's going. She could be going to the neighbor's house next door. She's bringing her phone. I think we all are. Like, I'm going
Right.
through for a walk around the neighborhood. I'm bringing my phone,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Um, so within 24 hours, that's when the case became national news. Um, Chris gave multiple media interviews standing on his front porch. I think that's like the well-known. I think we've all seen that video,
Yep.
or
Yep.
at least snippets from it of, yeah, that infamous standing on his porch interview. He was so at this point, it wasn't presumed that they were dead. It just was assumed that they were missing. So this is when he's standing on his front porch, like, please just let my family come home safely, like pleading for his family's return,
Yeah.
which is just so crazy. Like,
Yeah.
you knew where they were this entire time. I just could never do that. I'm a bad liar like, I would never be able to, like, just
It looks
fake
like
it
he
for the
was
camera
too.
like that, but
You know.
true.
No.
Exactly.
Nobody was buying the story.
Nobody was buying it. Like, your family, your pregnant wife and daughters are missing. Where's the tears?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, Yeah, so viewers noticed something unsettling, which was his flat effect, lack of emotion, and strange smiles. Behind the scenes, this is when investigators um, started investigating, and they found out the affair with Nicole Kessinger at this time and all the details that ended up being uncovered with that. They
Hmm.
also found deleted messages and internet searches about starting over, and they found inconsistencies in Chris's timeline from that day as well. A neighbor's
Uh,
surveillance footage also showed Chris backing his truck into the driveway early that morning, which is something he never normally did. This was the neighbor next door. They ended up talking to him only because as they were investigating Chris's house, they noticed that the neighbor had a security camera kind of like
mm,
pointed to their house. So, what are investigators going to do? Talk to everyone that has a security camera. I mean, these days
absolutely.
they're talking to everyone who has a Tesla even in the vicinity
Yeah,
as
sure.
evidence, you know? So on August 15th, investigators confronted Chris with all this evidence, and after a polygraph test, which he failed, Chris broke down. His first confession, he blamed Shanann, claiming she killed the girls, and he killed her in retaliation, which investigators did not buy because
Right. Because why
even
would
anyone
you?
who knew Shanann, yeah, anyone who knew Shanann was like, she would never do that. She would never, ever do that. Like,
Also, I mean, he's, he doesn't have a good track record of telling the truth already. So why would they believe his
right.
his next story?
So a later, under further questioning, that's when Chris ended up confessing to murdering all three, his wife and his daughters. He led police to the oil site at that time, and that's when the bodies were all uncovered.
Wow.
Might as well at that point, you're already caught, bro.
Yeah. Right. I mean,
Um,
could you?
so he was
How
actually,
hard would it be though to be like the investigators? How hard
oh,
would it
for
be
sure.
to go with this guy, know that this is his family, and he did that? Like, I don't know if I could be them because I don't know that I would have the patience required to do the job in that circumstance, especially if I was armed.
Oh, 100%. Like, what? Your daughters are in there? Okay.
Yeah.
Um, so he ended up getting charged with 5 counts of first degree murder. And I believe because she was pregnant, that was um
Yeah. Yeah, that's normal.
yeah.
Five though.
Unlawful. The
They have
daughters,
two
Shanann, the
and
son.
the
Yeah, I don't know
unborn
where the
son.
fifth is coming from. I don't know.
Hmm.
Hmm,
That's
I don't
interesting.
know.
Maybe that might be a
But
bad
sometimes
bad information. I don't know. Was it twins?
uh,
Maybe it was twins and they hadn't found that
it
out yet. I
wasn't
don't know why
twins.
you're laughing about.
No,
Oh,
I don't
okay.
think it was twins.
Yeah,
I'm just
that's
laughing at you. Twins? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
okay.
Yeah, who knows? Unlawful termination of a pregnancy is also a charge that he got, and 3 counts of tampering with deceased bodies. On November 6th, 2018, he pled guilty to avoid the death penalty. I hate that that's even an option
Yeah, I do
sometimes. But
too.
also,
I think there's some
if you want to
cases
rot in
where they
jail,
shouldn't.
go for it.
Yeah, I guess, but I think there's some cases that are so heinous that that shouldn't be the case, and this one qualifies as one of those cases. Like this one
Especially since he
completely
didn't care.
qualifies as one of those cases, right?
He already
Like,
he already confessed, so of course he's going to plead guilty.
yeah,
He already
yeah,
confessed and showed the site and all that stuff.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. I think there should be cases where they go, "Oh, you want to plead guilty? That's good. That's not getting you out of the death penalty." It's just that shouldn't be
yeah,
a because
like cop out.
his wife and his 2 daughters and his unborn son didn't have the option of saying, well, let me do this and I'll get to live
Choosing.
my life in a 10-foot cell. Like they didn't have that option,
Yeah. Yep.
so like why should he have
Um
that as an option?
so he did end up getting life in prison without the possibility of parole and an additional 84 years. I love when they do that just to make sure.
Yeah, I mean it's
Like,
like I get why they do it, but it's not a punishment to him. That's not additional punishment. They're like
oh, for
he
sure.
doesn't care if even if they did actually leave his dead body
They
in the
could add a
cell for 84
thousand
years
years.
after. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
not really punishing him.
Yeah.
But his ultimate
Um
punishment will come at that point. So
yeah. Um so yeah, today he remains incarcerated in Wisconsin. And
I wonder
yeah,
if
I think that's just
I wonder
really
if he got
crazy.
that. I wonder if he got that new start he was hoping for while he's in there.
You know, a man that wants a new start, he chose the most permanent solution possible. Oh,
Yeah,
you're getting a new start. All right. A real
yeah,
new start.
yeah.
I do remember hearing some things about how his life in jail was, because I remember he was like, I don't know if he was gonna do an interview or something like that, but I do remember like it coming out that he was getting a bunch of letters from like women throwing themselves at him and stuff,
Ugh,
and I think that's just so
that's
weird.
just
Like, no
annoying.
judgment,
Yeah.
but judging.
That's no, definite judgment.
He
Definite judgment.
killed
That's a
his wife
yeah.
and
No,
kids
that's
because
an
while he's
entire
having an
psychological
affair.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, that's an entire there's an
Yeah.
entire like psychological thing with these people. It's yeah, that's messed up. And I to some extent even the media that wants to give him attention. I mean even
Yeah.
here, right? We're talking about the case, we're talking mostly about him.
Already
Um
giving him too much
and
attention, right?
Yeah, exactly. And at some point you got to think of his wife and 2 daughters and unborn son who
Hmm.
nobody gets to. I mean, we're telling you their name, but nobody gets to know their story. Their story. We get to
Hmm.
know the end of their story, not the beginning. So that's a sad thing about all these cases.
Hmm.
I think I think there really should be more time spent in these kind of like when and I'm talking about the media, not because we're doing a true crime podcast, right? So but in talking about who the people were that lost their lives, and less time, talking about the people that ended them.
Yeah. His one daughter, I think it was Bella, who was born in 2013. She would be almost a, no, she would be, yeah, she would be almost a
She'd be,
teenager.
yeah,
She'd be about to turn
she'd be
13 right now.
turning 13. Yep. Yep.
12
What is
turning
that,
13, like,
middle school age? Is that middle school? I guess that's middle school, right?
mm-hmm. It's like seventh, eighth grade, yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one, she would be about to turn, she would be like 11.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep. Because of their father's selfish, I don't know, motivations. That's just sad. Sad. Sad
And
story. Another sad story.
I did hear that their house, I guess, was like up for sale and somebody bought it or something like that, and they say it is like I don't know
Mm,
how much I believe it, but somebody that was in there did say that they heard like giggling or something like that. I don't know.
yeah.
But
Yeah. I don't know that
would
I
you
would.
ever purposely buy a house that you knew something
No.
like that?
No. And
Too
I
many
feel like
other houses for sale.
if I bought a house that something like that had happened in, I feel like
Hmm.
there's part of me that would just be like, we have to, like knock it down and, I don't know, build a new house or something, like,
Yeah.
because that would just be hard. That would be really hard.
Hmm.
I've talked before about the story about the friend of mine who died in a fire across the
Yeah.
street from us, and the house that he lived in, they were like they were townhouses, really, I guess, and it was rebuilt like after, um, and the people who bought it, who actually had two young kids, not too far from the age of the kids that had died. Um,
Hmm.
they didn't know what had happened in the house when they bought it, which was crazy to me, in retrospect, that didn't have to be disclosed, when you're selling a house. Now, granted, you're trying to sell the house, right? So, of course, you're not going to say, oh, by the way, there was an arson fire here and 4 children died. You're not going to say that when you're trying. It's not a very good selling point. But it should still be somewhere in the law that, hey, by the way, if something really heinous and horrible happens, sorry, I know it's going to affect your property value, but there are things more important than your property value. Especially since I'm assuming
Hmm.
that the insurance company probably were the ones that sold the house and all that. I don't think it was the parents of the kids.
I
But
mean, I think in a case like this, obviously, all you got to do is Google the address and you can
oh,
see
sure.
exactly
Yeah.
like what
Yeah.
happened. You can't really hide that,
Yeah, the
but
thing is, though, you'd have to be aware enough of the case in the city where it happened to be like, wait,
mhm,
when you're looking at houses, to be like, wait a minute, that address sounds sweet. You know what I mean? It's not
mhm,
necessarily something that you'd be looking at.
yeah. Either way, super sad. So
Super
yeah,
sad.
don't murder your families, y'all. If you can take
Yeah.
anything from today's case, just get the divorce.
Right. Or don't be selfish. That's another good one. Don't be
Don't be
selfish.
selfish. Don't be selfish. So yeah, another another true crime Thursday down.
Right.
And as always, we'll see you Tuesday with something a little more lighthearted, hopefully.
Yeah.
Sometimes we go
Yeah.
a little wild with our Tuesday episodes. This
Yeah, that's
Tuesday
true.
was a little scary.
Yeah, it was kind of scary. I think this was scarier, though. Let us know what you
This was
thought
way
of
scarier.
this too, and how you like the true crime episodes. Again, we've been getting some good feedback, so we'll keep doing them.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.